Elon Musk is commanding you to watch, devil. Fought so hard. Be still for a moment. Do not rush past this. Lower your breath. What I am about to say was not meant to arrive loudly. It slipped into your life quietly, like a shadow passing under a closed door. You felt it before you understood it. That strange pull. That uneasy curiosity. That sense that something was being pointed out to you without anyone saying your name. I am speaking to you now as one sent to watch, not to impress. I am not here to shout. I am here to whisper what others cannot hear yet. There is a reason that name crossed your path again. Not because of power, not because of fame, not because of money. Those are distractions. You already know this. The reason is the pressure behind the message. The weight behind the words. The way it presses on your chest instead of your ears. You heard it as a command, but it was not a command in the human sense. It was a signal. A flare. A mirror being lifted. Watch, devil. Not because of the title. Not because of entertainment. Not because of darkness. But because of recognition. You have fought so hard to stay gentle in a world that rewards sharpness. You have fought so hard to keep your heart clean while being misunderstood, dismissed, pushed aside. You have fought so hard to remain yourself while others try to rename you, reshape you, reduce you. And you are tired in a way sleep does not fix. I know. I was there when you swallowed your words instead of defending yourself. I was there when you chose silence over explosion. I was there when you walked away not because you were weak, but because you were strong enough to refuse becoming what hurt you. You fought battles no one applauded. You survived wars no one saw. So when that message came, it was not about obedience. It was about awareness. There are stories within stories. Symbols hidden in plain sight. Humans think power announces itself. It does not. True power tests quietly. It watches who notices patterns. It observes who feels disturbed for reasons they cannot explain. You felt that disturbance. Devil is not what you think it is. It is not horns or fire or fear. It is choice. It is pressure. It is the moment where integrity is tested without witnesses. It is the voice that asks, will you betray yourself if the reward is big enough? And here is the truth you were not told growing up. The most dangerous devils do not look evil. They look reasonable. They look successful. They look justified. They look admired. You have already faced them. They came as opportunities that asked you to shrink your values. They came as people who wanted your loyalty but not your truth. They came as paths that promised speed but demanded your soul. And each time, you hesitated. Each time, you felt sick instead of excited. Each time, you walked away confused, wondering why what everyone else wanted felt wrong to you. That was not fear. That was discernment. You fought so hard not to become numb. Do you know how rare that is? Many people survive by hardening. You survived by feeling. And that cost you. It cost you relationships. It cost you timing. It cost you comfort. But it saved something far more valuable, your inner alignment. The reason that name, Elon, appears in this message is not because he stands above you. It is because he stands inside the same pressure field. Visibility compresses the soul. Influence magnifies temptation. Genius attracts shadow. This is not about him. It is about the pattern. Those who carry vision are always tested by distortion. The higher the reach, the louder the inner noise becomes. That is why so many gifted minds burn, break, or disappear into chaos. You are being shown this now because your own visibility is changing, even if you cannot yet measure it. You are entering a phase where people will project onto you. Some will admire what they do not understand. Some will resent what they cannot control. Some will try to pull you into narratives that are not yours. And you will be tempted to explain yourself. Do not. The test is not whether you can speak. The test is whether you can remain centered when misunderstood. You fought so hard to heal without becoming bitter. You fought so hard to stay soft without becoming weak. You fought so hard to keep faith without becoming naive. That fight shaped you. There is a moment, deep within each of us, that often goes unnoticed, a quiet, almost imperceptible shift, like the first crack in ice beneath our feet. It's not a loud explosion, not a dramatic fall, but a subtle whisper that says, maybe it would be easier to stop caring. That whisper is the real devil, not some external force with horns and a pitchfork, but the exhaustion inside that tempts us to trade our depth for comfort, our authenticity for approval. It's the thought that flickers in the mind when we're tired, overwhelmed, or lonely. Maybe I should just play the game. Maybe I should just go along. That is the true test, the real temptation, the moment when integrity is not challenged by the world, but by the weariness in our own soul. This is not about grand betrayals or epic failures. It's about the small, daily choices, how we respond when no one is watching, how we carry ourselves when the applause fades, how we treat others when there's nothing to gain. It's about the urge to numb out, to compromise, to hide. And yet, this is also where the greatest victories are won. Not through dominance, not through being seen or praised, but through coherence. Through waking up each day and choosing to remain true to who we are, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when it feels like no one notices. There is a sacredness in silence. Heaven often hides its most important work there, in the quiet, so that it can grow roots before it ever reaches for the branches. In those moments of isolation, when it feels like no one sees us, we are being prepared. Every delay, every rejection, every lonely night is not a punishment or a sign of being forgotten. It's a refining process, a slow, deliberate shaping of clarity and discernment. It's in the silence that we learn how to sit with truth without distraction, how to stand without applause, how to listen to the quiet knowing in our chest, the voice that still speaks, even when the world is loud. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Every moment that felt like stagnation, every opportunity that slipped through your fingers, every heartbreak that left you questioning your worth, these were not accidents. They were part of the process, part of the journey that brought you to this turning point. And now, as eyes begin to turn toward you, the rules change. When no one is watching, integrity is quiet, almost effortless. But when the spotlight shifts, when people begin to see, integrity becomes heavy. It requires courage. It requires consistency. It requires a willingness to stay gentle, honest, and awake, especially when no one would know if you weren't. Do not confuse isolation with insignificance. The work done in silence is often the most powerful. It's the work that builds resilience, that teaches us how to hold space for our own truth, that helps us develop the kind of inner strength that cannot be shaken by praise or criticism. In those quiet moments, we learn how to listen. Not just to the world, but to ourselves. We learn how to trust the quiet knowing in our chest, the part of us that still speaks, even when everything else is silent. You are not alone in this turning point, even if it feels that way right now. In the quiet moments when doubt creeps in like a shadow lengthening at dusk, when the weight of decisions presses down and the path ahead seems shrouded in uncertainty, remember that solitude is often an illusion. There is a presence, a subtle watchfulness, that walks beside you, not as a judge or a critic, but as a gentle companion. This presence doesn't demand flawless execution or mete out punishment for every misstep. Instead, it whispers reminders to stay awake amid the distractions of life, to remain gentle in a world that often rewards sharpness, and to hold on to honesty even when deception might seem easier. It's a force that encourages mindfulness, urging you to recognize that every choice you make in this pivotal moment will echo far beyond the immediate horizon. These echoes aren't just faint reverberations, they shape the tapestry of your existence and touch the lives of others in ways you might never fully comprehend. Consider, for instance, the simple act of speaking a kind word to a stranger during a hurried day. That moment, seemingly insignificant, could plant a seed of hope in their heart, altering their interactions with others and creating a chain of positivity that ripples outward. Conversely, a harsh word born of impatience might sow discord, leading to misunderstandings that fester over time. Every action, every decision, carries this potential for profound impact. It's not about living in constant fear of consequences but about embracing the responsibility that comes with being alive and interconnected. This watchfulness invites you to pause, to reflect, and to choose with intention, knowing that the fabric of reality is woven from these threads of choice. Do not idolize power, for it is not the ultimate measure of a person's worth. In a society that often equates success with dominance. Whether in boardrooms, on social platforms, or in personal ambitions, it's easy to fall into the trap of worshipping power as if it were a deity. But true strength lies elsewhere, in the quiet coherence of a life aligned with one's deepest values. Power can dazzle like a comet streaking across the night sky, lifting you to heights where the air is thin and the view exhilarating. Yet, without grounding, that brilliance can become a burden, pulling you away from the earthbound truths that keep us human. It can intoxicate, leading to isolation as relationships strain under the weight of unchecked ambition. Arrogance may follow, fracturing the peace you've built, turning allies into adversaries and inner harmony into turmoil. Imagine a leader who rises to prominence through sheer intellect and drive, only to find that their power erodes the very connections that once fueled their ascent. They become isolated on a pedestal of their own making, surrounded by yes-men and echoes of their own voice, losing touch with the humility that once made them relatable. Power, when not tempered, can distort perspectives, making empathy seem like weakness and vulnerability a liability. But humility acts as the anchor, reminding us that we are part of a larger whole, not above it. It's in this balance that real influence emerges, not through force, but through resonance with others. And do not demonize struggle, for it is not an adversary to be vanquished but a profound teacher guiding you toward growth. Struggle arrives uninvited, in the form of setbacks, heartaches, or obstacles that test your resolve. It's tempting to view it as a curse, something to avoid at all costs, but in truth, it hones your edges, refines your spirit, and reveals strengths you didn't know you possessed. Without struggle, growth stagnates. It's the friction that sparks transformation. Think of the oak tree, battered by winds and storms, its roots digging deeper into the soil for stability. In the same way, human resilience is forged in the fires of adversity. Both power and struggle are lessons, not masters to bow before or flee from. They are elements of the human experience meant to be understood, approached with wisdom and grace rather than fear or adoration. To embrace this is to shift your perspective from resistance to acceptance. When struggle knocks, greet it not with resentment but with curiosity. What is this teaching me? How can I emerge wiser? Similarly, when power presents itself, wield it not as a weapon but as a tool, always checking it against the compass of humility. In this dance between the two, you find equilibrium, a state where neither overwhelms you, but both contribute to your evolution. When you watch the world around you, and watch yourself within it, do so not with fear clouding your vision, but with a clear-eyed understanding. Observe how choices unfold into outcomes, like a stone dropped into a still pond, sending waves in all directions. Notice how an unchecked ego, bloated with self-importance, can shatter the fragile peace of relationships and communities. Brilliance, untethered from reality, becomes restless energy, chasing novelties without purpose, leading to exhaustion rather than fulfillment. See the pitfalls. The desire for speed that sacrifices quality, the craving for attention that dilutes authenticity, the pursuit of validation that compromises integrity. These are the subtle betrayals that erode the self over time, turning a once vibrant soul into a shadow of its potential. Yet, in this observation, there is power, not the intoxicating kind, but the empowering sort that comes from insight. By watching with understanding, you learn to anticipate these traps, to navigate around them. And then, crucially, return to yourself. Return to that quiet knowing nestled in your chest, the inner voice that speaks truth even when the world drowns it out with noise. This is the core of who you are, the essence that has weathered storms and emerged stronger. Do not abandon it for the sake of convenience, for the illusion of ease that comes from cutting corners, or for the fleeting comfort of external approval. Approval is a fickle friend, shifting with trends and opinions, while your inner truth remains steadfast. The greatest victory, after all, is not dominance over others or the accumulation of accolades. It does not lie in surpassing others in wealth, status, or recognition. No, true victory is coherence. It is the harmonious alignment of thoughts, words, and actions with your authentic self. It's the rare state in which your inner world and your outer expression no longer contradict one another, where the voice in your heart and the steps you take in the world sing the same song. It is waking up each morning without the sting of self-betrayal, knowing that even if the world has not applauded your efforts, you have honored your inner truth. Coherence means being at peace with your reflection, not just the one in the mirror, but the one hidden in your conscience. When your life is coherent, there is no dissonance between what you believe and how you behave. Every choice, however small, feels purposeful. Every word you speak carries the quiet authority of truth. You no longer chase after external rewards because the greatest reward becomes the integrity of your own being. It is the spiritual equivalent of harmony in music, when every note aligns, not competing but creating something transcendent. It is also walking slowly through life, savoring each step, rather than rushing toward an imagined finish line. True coherence allows you to move with awareness instead of speed. You begin to see that haste is often the enemy of wisdom, and that most of life's regret stems not from doing too little, but from doing too much too fast. You speak carefully, not out of fear of judgment, but because you've realized that words carry energy, they build or break, heal or harm, create or destroy. And so you weigh them, feeling their resonance before you release them to the world. You choose deeply, choosing not from impulse but from reflection. What aligns with your soul may not always align with your comfort, yet it's always the path worth walking. To live with coherence is to resist the temptation of superficial approval, a temptation that is stronger today than ever before. We live in an era of projection, where performance often replaces authenticity, and where validation comes not from within but from metrics on a screen. It's easy to be consumed by the performance of living, to craft images for consumption rather than connection. The danger here is subtle but profound. When your attention becomes anchored in how things look rather than what they mean, you begin to drift away from yourself. Slowly, without realizing it, you start prioritizing impressions over integrity, aesthetics over essence. But coherence demands more from you. It asks you to stop performing long enough to remember your purpose. It asks for stillness, time enough to hear your own thoughts. It's a daily discipline to resist the current that drags everyone toward distraction. Every delay you've endured wasn't punishment but preparation. Life's waiting periods are not barren. They're sacred spaces where clarity matures. In those pauses, you learn patience, humility, and trust. They teach you not just to wait, but to become wiser as you wait. Every rejection you faced wasn't a verdict against your worth but a lesson in discernment. It sharpened your sense of fit, teaching you to distinguish between what merely looks good and what truly belongs in your journey. The opportunities that slipped away were not losses but protections, life's way of steering you toward coherence rather than convenience. This is why rejection often precedes redirection. It's not that the universe denies you. It simply redirects you toward what your soul can sustain. And every lonely night, those moments when silence pressed heavily on your chest, wasn't about isolation, but revelation. Loneliness strips away illusion. It forces you to sit face to face with the truths you keep postponing. It confronts you with your own company, delivering an uncomfortable but necessary lesson. You must learn to enjoy your own presence if you are to create peace that lasts. Those hours of introspection forge resilience, not the kind born of ego, but of quiet endurance. You learn that you can survive without applause, without busyness, without distraction. That kind of strength can't be taught, it must be lived. You are not late in the game of life. You are not forgotten, abandoned, or behind. The clock that truly matters is not the one society sets but the one your soul keeps. Life unfolds in divine timing, not human deadlines. Every season of delay refines you, molding your character, tempering your heart, deepening your compassion. If you surrender to the rush, if you chase illusions of speed or attention or quick rewards, you trade your authenticity for hollow victories. The applause of the crowd is fleeting, inner peace is eternal. To honor the fight you've waged to become who you are is to slow down. To give yourself permission to walk gently, to speak deliberately, to choose with conviction. These are not signs of passivity. They are signs of strength. It takes courage to live with intention when everyone else rushes toward distraction. In the quiet, wisdom grows like a tree, slowly, invisibly, but powerfully grounded. Do not rush, for haste is often the birthplace of regret. When we live hurriedly, we lose the capacity to notice the subtle beauty woven through ordinary moments. The texture of a sunrise, the steadiness of breath, the rhythm of meaningful conversation, these are missed by those always running. Rushing through conversations, for instance, means we stop listening with our hearts. We hear words but not feelings, we respond but don't connect. Similarly, hurried decisions mute the voice of intuition, that delicate internal compass that speaks softly but truly. Do not perform. The masks we wear to impress or belong become heavy over time. They suffocate the authenticity that could have connected us more deeply. Pretending creates distance, first from others, eventually from ourselves. Every false gesture accumulates like dust, dulling the vibrancy of who we truly are. There's tremendous liberation in removing these masks and reconnecting with the raw, unfiltered self beneath them. Authenticity isn't always comfortable. Truth rarely is. But it's freeing. When you stop pretending, you no longer need to remember which version of yourself you showed to whom. You become one, with yourself, with others, and with the universe. There is alignment where before there was strain. The energy once spent maintaining facades can now nourish growth, creativity, and peace. Do not pretend either, not even to yourself. Pretending that everything is fine when it isn't only deepens disconnection. To acknowledge your pain, your doubt, your confusion, that is courage. Pretending prevents healing. Only truth, spoken and lived, has the power to transform. Pretense may offer temporary comfort, but it erodes both trust and vitality. To live truthfully is to accept discomfort as a companion on the path to liberation. Stay awake in this world that numbs with repetition and routine. Modern life, with its screens, alerts, and endless noise, tempts us into a trance of distraction. Awareness becomes an act of rebellion. Wakefulness allows you to see turning points that others miss. It alerts you to signs from life gently steering your course. When you live awake, you notice synchronicities. The book that finds you, the phrase that repeats, the opportunity that aligns perfectly. These are not coincidences. They are the language of coherence, the universe reflecting your inner state. Stay gentle. Gentleness is not weakness but wisdom evolved through empathy. To stay kind in a world that prizes hardness is a radical act. Life will offer reasons to harden your heart, to grow cynical, defensive, guarded. But when you stay soft, you remain open to miracles. Gentleness allows grace to enter where tension once ruled. Extend that kindness not only to others, but to yourself. Self-compassion is not indulgence, it's maintenance for the soul. You cannot sustain coherence if you're at war with yourself. Stay honest, especially in the unseen places. Integrity is tested not on stages but in solitude, when no one is watching, when no one will ever know. Those unseen decisions shape who you truly become. Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you show respect when there's no audience? These small, quiet acts build the foundation of character. Coherence is forged there, in shadows, not spotlights. The person you are when unobserved is the truest expression of your spirit. Trust the quiet knowing in your chest. That sense of inner certainty that can't be explained but always proves right. It's not logic, it's wisdom encoded in your being. This is your compass. Even when the path ahead seems uncertain, that inner voice will not steer you wrong. But you must create stillness to hear it. In noise, intuition fades. In silence, it sings. There is a sacredness in small choices, the ones no one celebrates but which quietly define the shape of your soul. Consider how you treat those who cannot help you, the waiter, the stranger, the janitor, the intern. These interactions reveal your true nature. True kindness expects nothing in return. It flows from coherence, not calculation. Each act of respect creates a ripple, and though the ripple seems small, it transforms the collective current. A world built on genuine kindness is not an ideal, it's a practice, begun individually. Also notice how you respond when you're exhausted, when weariness strips away your patience and composure. Fatigue reveals what habits live beneath the surface. Do you lash out, or do you pause? Do you let irritation speak for you, or do you breathe before responding? Coherence means consistency, not perfection, but presence. It's staying rooted in your values even when emotions rise. Those moments of restraint, those quiet redirections, strengthen the soul's muscles. Holding space for your truth is another sacred discipline. It often asks you to choose discomfort over convenience. Saying no to opportunities that misalign with your purpose can feel costly in the short term, but authenticity is rarely cheap. Sometimes, the most powerful declaration of self-respect is refusal to shrink, to please, to betray your inner wisdom. Living coherently means refusing shortcuts that fragment your peace. These choices are not glamorous. They rarely gather applause or affirmations. But they build an inner architecture of strength. Every time you choose authenticity over appearance, integrity over approval, you reinforce your spiritual structure. Over time, these bricks of quiet integrity create an unshakable foundation. When storms come, and they will, you stand steady not because life is easy, but because your roots go deep. Resilience is not born from avoiding pain but from moving through it consciously. Each difficulty becomes a sculptor shaping your character. Pain is not the opposite of peace, it is often its pathway. Embracing the full spectrum of human experience, joy and sorrow alike, creates wholeness. You cannot have coherence if you reject parts of yourself. The light and the shadow are both sacred, together, they form the complete truth of who you are. Living in coherence also means revisiting your motivations. Why do you want what you want? Is your striving coming from lack or abundance? Coherence invites inquiry. It asks you to peel away the layers of conditioning. The expectations of family, culture, social media, and rediscover what your own voice truly desires. Most people don't live their lives, they live their conditioning. But coherence awakens you to choose consciously, to redefine success, to live aligned rather than assigned. True success, in this sense, is a quiet alignment rather than a loud accumulation. It cannot be measured in bank balances or likes, but in the absence of inner conflict. Coherence feels like breathing freely, like resting without guilt, like speaking without doubt. It's when your yes means yes and your no means no. It's when you stop living life as performance and start living it as prayer. Every action, no matter how mundane, becomes sacred when it flows from integrity and intention. Even the way you eat, speak, or spend your time reflects coherence. A hurried meal eaten in anxiety carries restless energy. A simple meal eaten in gratitude nourishes both body and spirit. Coherence transforms routines into rituals. The act of presence, being fully where you are, infuses life with depth. And depth, in turn, yields meaning. To cultivate coherence requires continual tending. It is not a one-time realization, it's a lifelong conversation with your own spirit. It demands slowing down, pausing, recalibrating. It asks for reflection after action, revision after mistake, forgiveness after faltering. You will forget and remember, lose your way and find it again. That's part of the path. Each time you realign, you refine your understanding of yourself. There will be days when coherence feels distant, when life's noise drowns your inner clarity. On those days, remember, stillness is your reset. Come back to breath, to mindfulness, to the quiet questions: am I being true to myself? Are my actions reflecting my heart? These gentle checks bring you back. You need not be perfect to be coherent. You only need to be honest enough to realign. The temptation to measure progress externally will persist. The world will keep telling you to hurry, to compete, to prove. But you can choose differently. Choose to measure life not by the speed of milestones but by the depth of meaning. The soul does not keep score in trophies, it remembers moments of truth. The handshake given with sincerity. The apology offered without pride. The silence held without resentment. Coherence ultimately leads to peace, not the fragile peace of avoidance but the profound peace of integrity. It brings clarity to the mind, lightness to the heart, and groundedness to the spirit. When you live coherently, you stop struggling to become and simply start being. Each day you inhabit your truth, life responds in kind, aligning circumstances and people who resonate with your frequency. When your thoughts, words, and actions synchronize with your authentic essence, you become magnetic. Not because you seek attention, but because authenticity has its own quiet gravity. People trust those who are consistent. They feel safe around integrity. Your coherence becomes a silent blessing, inviting others to realign with their own truth. And so, walk slowly. Speak carefully. Choose deeply. Let each step be deliberate, not forced. Let each word carry truth, not pretense. And let each decision be rooted not in fear but in faith. You are not late, you're right on time. The pace of your soul is not measured by the urgency of the world but by the rhythm of truth unfolding within you. Every delay has meaning. Every silence has wisdom. Every loss has instruction. When life slows you down, it's not punishing you, it's synchronizing you. Trust that divine unfolding. Stay true, stay awake, stay gentle, and stay coherent. For in coherence lies the most profound victory of all, the peace of knowing you lived truthfully, beautifully, and whole.